My stepmom said I wasn't real family when Dad left me his $900,000, so I reminded her about the prenup she signed. Dad died on a Tuesday. Stepmom called me on Wednesday, her voice honey-sweet like it hadn't been in years. Your father's passed, sweetie. The reading of the will is Friday at 2 o'clock. I hung up and cried for 3 hours. Not just because Dad was gone, but because I knew what was coming. I was 12 when he married her. She was 28, blonde, and worked at the country club where Dad golfed every Sunday. My mom had died 2 years earlier from breast cancer, and Dad was lonely. I understood. What I didn't understand was how quickly she stopped pretending to like me once the ring was on her finger. It started small. She'd forget to pack my lunch. Then she stopped including me in family photos. By the time I was 16, she'd convinced Dad to send me to boarding school. She needs structure, she'd say while redecorating my childhood bedroom into her yoga studio. During college, Dad would visit me alone. We'd grab dinner and he'd apologize without apologizing. She's adjusting, he'd say. I stopped visiting home after she refused to set a place for me at Thanksgiving. Dad met me at restaurants instead, slipping me checks and looking guilty. The prenup had been my uncle's idea. Dad's brother was a lawyer who never trusted her. Protect yourself, Uncle Owen had said. The prenup stated that if they divorced or Dad died, she'd get $50,000 in the house. Everything else went to blood relatives. At the will reading, she arrived in designer mourning, clutching tissues like props. I wore my mom's old sweater. Dad's lawyer read through the formalities, then got to the assets. The house to her, $50,000 to her, and $900,000 split between me and Uncle Owen. Her face went from grief to confusion to rage in 3 seconds. That can't be right, she interrupted. I was his wife, his partner. She's just his daughter, I finished. You weren't even around. I took care of him for 15 years. You visited maybe twice a year, because you made sure I wasn't welcome. That money should be mine. You're not real family. You're just some obligation he had from his first marriage. The lawyer cleared his throat. Uncle Owen put his hand on my arm, but I shook it off. I'd been waiting 15 years for this moment. Let me tell you about real family, I said quietly. Real family is the woman who died when I was 10. Real family is the man who worked 2 jobs to pay for her medical bills, then raised me alone while grieving. Real family is the uncle who protected Dad by insisting on a prenup that you signed without reading because you were too busy planning your dream wedding. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. Dad left you the house and $50,000. That's what you agreed to when you married him, in writing, with a notary present. The color drained from her face. You called me not real family, I continued, but I'm the one he left everything to. His life insurance, his retirement accounts, his investment portfolio. All of it bypasses you entirely and goes to his daughter. She turned to the lawyer desperately. There has to be something we can do. Contest it. The will is ironclad, the lawyer said, and the prenup you signed is legally binding. I gathered my things and walked toward the door. Then I stopped and turned back. By the way, the house. Dad took out a second mortgage 3 years ago. You owe $200,000 on it. The $50,000 won't even cover half. Uncle Owen was waiting in the parking lot. We sat in his car as I finally let myself cry, this time for Dad, who'd loved poorly but left behind protection for me. 2 months later, the house was in foreclosure. Stepmom had moved back to her mother's place in Florida. She'd tried to contest the will, but her lawyer told her she had no case. I used some of Dad's money to finish my degree debt-free. The rest I invested, exactly like he would have wanted. Sometimes I visit his grave and tell him about my life. I always bring flowers. She never does.